Today I dropped my dog off to get neutered. He's a 6-month Goldendoodle. This was part of a puppy package of care, which covered all necessary shots and wellness checks, and culminates with neutering and microchipping. I came back a few hours later to pick him up. While receiving the aftercare instructions, I was informed that they pulled a few of my dog's teeth by the vet tech. Our conversation went something like this. BT, the only thing not covered by the puppy package is $20 for the 2 teeth we removed while he was under anesthesia, so if we can settle this up. Me, excuse me, you removed teeth. He was here for neutering. BT, his 2 canines were starting to come in, but the baby teeth were not loose, so we removed them. It's very standard and what the vet regularly recommends. Me, well, you did more than recommend it, you went ahead and did it. /beep silence /beep. VT, I'll be right back. Now it's important to note that I don't care about the $20 charge. Had I been contacted and told that they recommended this, I would have of course went with the vet's recommendation. But come on, at least act like I'm involved in the process rather than making me feel like I'm being suckered into a forced upsell situation. A few minutes later she came back. VT, I spoke with the doctor and we are going to discount the $20 since we did not consult you first. Me, it's not about the $20. I'm more concerned about the fact that I came here for one procedure, and without any conversation or discussion, you expanded the scope of the visit to include tooth extraction. VT, it was necessary. If we were to have done it at a separate visit, it would have been $250. Me, I'm not concerned about the money if it's necessary. I'm concerned about not knowing about it or approving it beforehand. VT, it's a very routine procedure. We regularly extract teeth while puppies are already under anesthesia. Me, if it's so routine and done so regularly, why was it not discussed at one of the many prior visits or even this morning? VT, you know, if we didn't extract the teeth, it could have led to issues with alignment, bacteria, and other complications. Me, I'm not debating whether the extraction was necessary. I'm upset that I was not consulted first. VT, I'll be right back. This time she brought my puppy back with her. I thanked her and left. To be clear, I was not trying to be rude, difficult, or cheap in any way. But I got into the car with my poor sedated pup feeling like I was being rude, difficult, and cheap. I spoke with a few coworkers after I got back to my office, but I could use some other opinions as well. So AITA for being peeved about surprise tooth extractions during neutering. And #X200B. /beep it, this has obviously gotten way bigger than I had ever thought it would. To anybody that posted on here to vent their spleen and then hit the front page, you know what I mean. That being said, I wanted to offer a few points of clarification because I've seen quite a theme in the comments. Well, most important of all, my puppy is snoozing next to me and seems to be in overall good shape for that. I'm grateful to the vet. 2, it amazes me how many of you post things like you're obviously NTA. Why would you even post this? Scroll the comments and look at some people on the other side. The reason I posted this is that I was conflicted and was wondering what people thought, and wow, you folks did not let me down. 3, I don't plan on talking about who the vet/clinic/hospital is or where it is located. I was not pleased by their customer service, but I am not trying to hurt their business in any way. 4, I'm not upset about the fact that they made a decision that they thought was necessary. I'm upset that they could not explain that decision, or perhaps felt it was unnecessary to explain to me. Please keep in mind that I'm not a vet. I went to school for history and business. If someone had explained things to me, I might have quickly calmed down and the situation de-escalated. This would have been best handled, in my opinion, had the vet came to speak to me. 5, for the men that are messaging me thinking I am a woman, I'm not. To maybe lighten the mood a little bit, how about a laugh at how silly a Goldendoodle's shaved arm looks? AITA for removing my daughter's bedroom door because she won't stop slamming it. I have 3 kids. Maggie, Levy, and Charlie. Levy and Charlie share a bedroom. And Maggie has her own room as the oldest and also only girl. Maggie is a great kid. She does her homework, helps with chores without too much complaint, doesn't bug her little brothers much. The issue is that she will not stop slamming her bedroom door. When she gets up to use the bathroom at night, she slams her bedroom door on her way out and back in. When she gets up in the morning or goes to bed at night, she slams it. Pretty much any time she enters or exits her room, the door gets slammed. And it's only her door, none of the other doors in the house. It shakes the walls and frequently wakes up everyone else in the house. Her brother's room shares a wall with hers and our bedroom is directly above theirs. We've talked to her about it and asked her very politely to please be more mindful about it because it is disturbing the rest of us, but it's in one ear and out the other. We tried being more forceful about it, saying that if she continues to slam her door, there will start to be consequences. Still nothing changes. It all came to a head the other night when she got up to use the bathroom and all 4 of us were woken up by the slamming. I have to be up at 5 a.m. for work and I've had enough of the broken sleep and came downstairs and knocked on her door. She opened it and said beep WHAT. Beep with such attitude it took a lot of self-control not to start yelling. I told her as calmly as I could that if she slammed that door one more time she was going to come home and find it gone. She proceeded to yell at me to leave her alone and then slammed it 5 times as hard as she could. Well, the next day she went to school, and my husband and I both had the day off, so we took the door off the frame and installed a curtain rod with a nice heavy curtain over the door instead. She came home and freaked the beep out. She said we're being emotionally abusive and taking away her right to privacy. She sulked all weekend and won't talk to us now. My mother says I'm the AH because I overreacted, but she doesn't have to deal with the house shaking. I want to add that we completely respect each other's privacy in our house, which is why we hung up a heavy curtain and made sure that we couldn't see through it or around it. We even put little Velcro pieces on the walls and curtain sides so it stays in place. She still has her physical privacy, which she is absolutely entitled to, but can't slam a piece of fabric. We also have never and still don't just go into her room unannounced and still knock on the wall to ask permission to enter. We've told her we'll happily put her door back on once she agrees to respect the no slamming rule. So AITA. Edit to add. 1. The curtain is an industrial type that blocks sound and light. 2. The curtain is only meant to be a temporary measure. As soon as she agrees to stop slamming and be respectful of the shared space, we will put it right back on. 3. The door isn't broken or malfunctioning in any way, and there is no draft causing it to swing shut. My 33 male wife, 25 female, constantly makes a conscious effort to humiliate me during my lessons over Zoom. While under normal circumstances, I would try to communicate my feelings to my wife, I am at my wit's end for how to handle this situation, as I have exhausted all of the typical conflict resolution means. Being a teacher, I am currently giving lessons over Zoom. I recognize that studying math over Zoom isn't the most exciting thing in the world for students, and I can barely get them to even pretend to be interested in my lessons when we're in the classroom, but they have done an admirable job of staying focused. My wife is making it extremely difficult on my end, though. Several months ago when my lessons began, I went from working long hours to being at home all day. Unfortunately, my wife does not seem to understand that while I am at home, and while I can occasionally help out with a chore or two, I still have actual work to do. Between lesson prep, grading, and meetings, my schedule is quite full. The first time she interrupted my lesson, she abruptly opened the door to the room where I was teaching and loudly asked me to do the dishes. This was unbelievably awkward, as I was in the middle of teaching 3 dozen 10th graders geometry. I told her we would talk about it later, but not being deterred, she asked if that was a yes or a no. I said it was a yes, but that I was in the middle of a lesson. Without a word, she closed the door. I got some chuckles from the students, but a bit of red-cheeked embarrassment was the extent of the damage. The next time, 2 days later, she again barged in holding a pair of my pants that I left on the floor of our bedroom. She loudly stated, "You need to pick up after yourself." This time, before responding, I muted my mic and turned off my camera, telling her that I was in the middle of a lesson. Again, she walked away without a word. At this point, I moved my setup into the basement of our house so I could avoid further interruption. Since my basement looks like it probably has a few dead bodies buried in it, my students have begun to call me Basement Dad, which is endearing, but I would rather teach in a room where I'm not going to get asbestos in my lungs. The trouble really began when I started locking the door to prevent interruptions. My wife will begin by rattling the door a few times, followed by pounding on it. Then she'll groan loudly and say something negative about me. After that, I can hear her walking around the house slamming doors. A few weeks ago, she was literally jumping up and down, stomping her feet in the room above mine. In the first months of these online lessons, I set up a hotkey to mute my mic and disable my camera instantly when needed, and luckily my reflexes honed from Counter-Strike in my teens has paid off. But there have been times where she has sneaked in an embarrassing moment for me. Every time I have patiently explained to her that I need complete quiet to teach my lessons, and she says yay, okay. Then in the next lesson, without fail, she'll find something new to complain about and throw a tantrum, trying to humiliate me in front of my students. While my mute game is on point, students have recognized something is wrong. One of my 9th graders even sent me an email asking if everything was okay. I had to make up a lame excuse about needing to mute my mic because of a sudden grinding noise that happens in my old basement. There's no way she bought that. Since I'm unable to go out, unable to even enter the school grounds, and have no place to go to avoid my wife, I'm unbelievably anxious when I teach. I have tried talking to her calmly, and I even tried to get angry at her. When I yelled at her for forcefully sliding plastic files under the door so they'd float down in the background during my lessons, she expected me to apologize for getting angry at her. How can I even approach this kind of problem? TLDR, my wife is acting ridiculous when I'm teaching lessons over Zoom. Most of the rest of the day she's normal, but during lessons she does everything in her power to sabotage me.